Hello again, everyone. My name is Mark Walmsley, and I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. We're over 150,000 strong now across our 8 LinkedIn groups, with around 150 people joining every day, the LinkedIn group. So it's all getting rather busy this end. I often describe our organization as being the opposite of Doctor Who's TARDIS. We're bigger on the outside than we are on the inside. But this is the best fun bit of the job for me. This is where I get to introduce you to one of our full members. And Paul Schafer has joined me today. Paul, thank you so much for joining us today for this.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be with you today.
That's great. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to create your fantasy cultural year based on your super passions and powers. But before I do that, for the benefit of those who haven't had the pleasure, as I have, of meeting you before, perhaps you'd like to just say hi to everyone. Let us know where you're based and your superpower and your passions, perhaps.
Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate this opportunity, and I'm very excited by it. I'm Paul Schafer. I'm director of the World Culture Project at present, which was certified by UNESCO in 1989 as the World Decade for Cultural Development Activity. But going back to my early experiences in the arts and cultural field, when I was in grade 5 or 6, our teacher at school asked if we could do a project at home that we could bring to school and present to our classmates. And after a lot of searching and help from my mother, who was a school teacher, I finally settled on doing a project on Marco Polo and his trip down across the Silk Road and into China. And then with his family and a number of close friends from Venice. And he traveled around Asia a great deal as an emissary of the great Kublai Khan. And I came away from that experience in grade 6 feeling that wouldn't it be a much more wonderful world if everybody had the same possibility of experiencing the arts, culture, heritage, customs, traditions of all the various cultures in the world and the ones in existence at that time. And I knew then that my life had been more or less defined for me. And at some point in my future life, I'd have to really probe into this fascination that I had about the arts, culture, and culture in real depth. However, that setting that aside for a moment, when I enrolled in university, I enrolled in commerce and finance, and for a very specific purpose, in a way, because I had an older brother who eventually became a very famous composer. R. Murray Schafer, who's known internationally for the seminal work he did on soundscape, world soundscape research, and creating large musical theater pieces outdoors in forests and on lakes and so on. But at that time, Murray was just getting settled into the area as a composer, and I was aware that Theo had done a great deal to help Vincent van Gogh, because Vincent was having such a difficult time selling his paintings. And I thought, well, here's a way I could help Murray. I could enroll in commerce and finance, and I might be able to help him his future in life and development by having a discipline that might produce the monetary resources in order to do that. Murray moved ahead quickly in his area and didn't seem much help. So by the time I was nearing the end of commerce and finance, I got terribly interested in economics and and focused all my efforts on studying economics and then going on and teaching in economics. And I specialized in international development and the history of economic thought. And one of the reasons I studied economics is I wanted to understand in detail how economics and economies had come to play such a powerful role in the world and dominate the world by the time I was doing those studies. After teaching economics for a few years, I decided to leave economics as a field discipline because I became very concerned about the fact that as economics was developing over the last 250 years, starting with the publication of Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, virtually no attention had been given to the natural environmental context and also the kind of more human and cultural context within which that discipline was placed. And I felt that I could see at that time that we were going to experience more and more environmental problems. So I got out of economics, and I'd had such a wonderful upbringing through my parents in the arts. In public school and high school, that I decided at that time those were great hobbies, and I'd get into that area and try and pursue a career in that field. Of course, I had some difficulty doing that because I didn't have any formal credentials in the arts and culture at that time. But eventually, I did find a job at the Ontario Arts Council, worked there for a period of years. This was in Toronto, where I was living at the time. I'm now in Markham, very close to Toronto. So that was a valuable experience. And then later on, I got very involved in developing what arguably, but I think factually, was the creation and development of the first program in the world in arts administration and cultural policy, which I was involved in founding with a number of co-founders and taught the courses on arts administration and cultural policy in this course. It was founded in 1969, and I was there from 1970 to 1974. I then started to realize that Marco Polo came back to haunt me at that time, and I had to sort of make it possible for myself to learn far more about culture and cultures that I knew at that time. So I took a job at the University of Toronto developing two co-op programs, one in arts administration and cultural policy again. But all the time was saving my money because I knew I needed a long period of time to delve deeply into culture and cultures. And fortunately, at the same time, my wife, we had a child at that time, but she decided to go back to work, so I was able to stay at home and spend more time. And for the last 30 odd years of my life, I've been intensifying my work in the arts and cultural and heritage fields. During this period, I had to really just cut myself off from the entire world and spend all my time studying how culture had developed over the centuries, what cultural scholars and practitioners had to say about the development of culture. And my experience in the history of economic thought was very helpful here because it gave me an opportunity to trace the history of cultural thought. The result of this experience, and I'll terminate on this point, is that I've produced a number of books on the subject of the arts, culture, and cultures, and particularly making the transition from the present economic age to a future cultural age. Most of this is encapsulated in three major books, and I would just mention them in passing. The first book is Revolution or Renaissance, Making the Transition from an Economic Age to a Cultural Age. This is an in-depth study of the evolution and development of the economic age, what are its great strengths, and there are great strengths to it, but what are its weaknesses as well? And I mentioned one, which was the environmental crisis we're experiencing today. I wrote this book because I wanted to sort of present the case that it was very important now to give much more consideration to the field of culture and cultures and entering a cultural age. This led to years later to a second book on this subject, and this book is The World as Culture. It's seeing the world that we're living in today from a cultural, holistic perspective rather than an economic, partial perspective. And this really, what I was doing with this book was pulling all of the information I could find about the evolution of culture as an idea and reality over the course of history and providing it in one place. And this is the book. The subtitle is just read it to you here. The World as Culture, Cultivation of the Soul to the Cosmic Whole. And this book is really for people working in the arts and cultural field. This is the pull together our legacy in these areas from very, very distant times. It starts, of course, with the arts and the humanities and so on, going back to pre-classical times and then the classical period, and works its way right up to the present and the future. And the association that's being made more and more by a number of cultural scholars and cosmologists with the idea of the ordered whole and its connection with culture, but also with disciplines like economics. The last book is The Great Cultural Awakening, which I wrote last year. The subtitle of this book is Key to an Equitable, Sustainable, and Harmonious Age. And this is really the summation of all of the research and writing that I've done on the subject of culture and cultures in the arts over the course of my life. And that has put me in the position that, thanks to you, Mark, and a lot of other people, I'm now in the position where I feel I've culture's always been the elephant in the room to me, that it's all there, it's all always there in discussions we have on any subject, because it's a very colossal subject itself. I'm in the position now where I'm anxious to take that year abroad and go out and try and provide information about the work that I've been doing in this area to our friends and cherished colleagues in the arts, the humanities, heritage, history, and culture and cultures. So taking a bit long with that, but that in a nutshell is what I've experienced over the course of my life and what role Marco Polo played in it.
I thank you so much for that. Those are extremely valuable resources for anyone who aligns with the thinking on that. I love the idea that we're heading into a cultural age that allow me to slide disgracefully into semi-retirement, comfortable that something better is on the horizon. It occurred to me that there is a parallel with the digital age that we're told about. Digital technology, in my experience at least, has yet to save us time rather than take up time. We're all walking around with our head in our phones. We're all staring at screens. There are some wonderful things about digital technology, of course, as well, but there are consequences there. So it's really reassuring to know that you've done the homework to reassure us that we're heading for better times, and also you're providing some of the tools and the roadmap for doing that. So thank you for those. I'll make sure wherever this appears there are links to the book. I think I saw all three on Amazon, didn't I? So
Yes,
yeah,
they're listed there at Amazon, and
yeah.
there's a great deal of information on these books and others on my World Culture Project website, which is www.worldcultureproject.org.
Okay, well, we'll make sure that link appears wherever this interview appears.
Thank you
That's
so much.
no, that's fantastic. Now you've given me an idea for how we're going to create your fantasy cultural year now. This is fun. It works really nicely. It pulls out anecdotes, surprises, and conversational detours. So we're going to whisk you away now. There are no wrong answers, but I'd like you to place yourself somewhere in the world by telling me what's your favorite building?
What's my favorite building?
Yes.
Well, favorite buildings in general would be probably mosques, and
Okay.
one of my very favorite buildings in that respect is the Blue Mosque in Istanbul.
The Blue Mosque, did you say?
The Blue Mosque.
Okay. Let's see if we can find it. There we go. And I'll share my screen and show everybody your favorite building. Here we go. Wow. There it is. Look at that. That looks as though it's been done with artificial intelligence, but it certainly hasn't. That is incredible. Okay, so I've got I can stop that share now. So I'd like you to assume that you're sitting at a pavement cafe within sight of the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, and it's sunny, it's late afternoon, and there is a drink to your right. What would I find there?
Well, I think it seems to have disappeared in the last decade or so, but my most enjoyable drink is a pina colada.
Ah, okay.
Uh, I'm not sure that you're hearing that word as much as you used to, but everybody was drinking pina coladas 30 years ago when I was
Yeah,
younger. So yes, I miss
I
it.
love it. Now that's great. So we've got this image of you in Turkey in the sunshine at a cafe by the Blue Mosque with a pina colada. Now, I'm afraid, with the exception of your own weighty tomes, what book might I find next to you?
Well, to be honest with you, I have my cultural Bible, and it was so helpful to me because I had no training or experience or training or education in the field. But I came across this book, which is now my Bible, and it's by Carl J. Weintraub, who's a cultural historian. And the book is Visions of Culture.
Yep.
And he reviews the visions of culture of six cultural historians: Voltaire, Guizot, Burckhardt, Jacob Burckhardt, Lamprecht, Huizinga, and Ortega y Gasset. And this
Fantastic.
book has given me so much. I just can't begin to indicate how much an important role it's played in my work.
Well, that's fantastic. So we've got Visions of Culture next to you,
Mhm.
table there. Now, you're feeling quite excited because you've just come from a meeting in the Blue Mosque with a wealthy family foundation in Turkey
Mhm.
who have read your books. They're respectful of the expertise that you have amassed, and they would like you to. They want to hire you for a year for a first class all the way. They'd like you to produce a global league table of how culture fares in different national economies around the world. Okay. So, which means you get to travel wherever you want to for a whole year. Now, the all you have to decide is, oh, and by the way, there'll be a book deal in it, of course. There
Mhm.
will be a TED talk. There will be a global university lecture tour afterwards and a TV show. Um, so all you need to decide is, where would you like to start? You can go anywhere in the world. Where would you like to start?
Well, I wouldn't have to move far from the table looking at the Blue Mosque. I'd like to start in Istanbul.
Oh,
Uh,
you're there, already
and
there.
I
Fantastic.
say this because I think that if there's one place in the world where we might be able, as individuals and members of organization, to have the kind of experience that Marco Polo had from Venice to the capital of China, it would be in Istanbul. I've been fascinated with the city and the Turkey as a country for all my life because there's been such a involvement and interchange and interaction between all the peoples that have come from different parts of the world and different parts of culture and have interacted and intertwined in the city of Istanbul. So that's an exciting place. And incidentally, my wife is just organized for us a trip to Istanbul uh, sometime next fall. So I'm very excited about that because I've never been to Istanbul or to Turkey.
Well, that's fantastic. And it's famous for being the gateway to Asia, isn't it? And on both directions, you cross the Bosphorus and you're in Asia.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, okay, so we have a location. Now you're on the plane on the way to Istanbul, and somebody is going to bring you a pina colada. Okay. You turned left when you got on the plane because you're traveling first class, and there's a note given to you, and it's from the Family Foundation who are financing your trip, and they've asked you to, as an experiment, to limit your musical listening to just one very specific type or genre of music for 12 months, to the exclusion of all else. If you were given that challenge, what would you choose, Paul?
Well, if it was an era in music, I would select Baroque music. If it was specific music on the classical side, I'd definitely pick Handel. He's my favorite composer. I was a choir boy for a long time, and I really appreciated his music. If it was a little more popular, I would say uh, some it's some music from Andalusia, and particularly flamenco music. I love flamenco music, so that would be the choice.
That's great. We'll let you have the Baroque for the purposes of your trip. Um, Excellent. Now, you arrive in Istanbul, and a group of young cultural students welcome you to the city and take you under their wing. They take you to a beautiful apartment that's overlooking the Blue Mosque, and um, and they say, right, unpack, make yourself comfortable. We're going to take you to a dance performance and then out to dinner. Okay. Now, this is where my magic wand and my time machine come in. Okay. So, and we have a transporter from Star Trek as well. So the idea is that you can choose any dance performance you like, historical or otherwise, any dancers, living or not, any dance group, any dance style, and it'll be put on that stage in front of you for a couple of hours. Given that I have a magic wand, a time machine, and a Star Trek transporter, where would you like to be, and what would you like to see?
Well, I'd like to be somewhere in Istanbul once again, and I'd like to see the whirling dervishes.
Oh, wonderful! With their yeah, oh,
I can't wait to get to Istanbul to see
oh, that
the
will be fun.
performance by the whirling dervishes. This is
Oh,
such an exciting dance experience, I think, in
oh,
so many different ways.
that's a great choice. Now, what about dinner afterwards? You don't have to. Istanbul is a cosmopolitan city. It has cuisines from all over the world. What's your favorite national cuisine?
Well, I love Turkish food, so I would start with a Turkish meal, but if that wasn't handy or available, I think my second selection would be a Thai meal. I like
Okay,
my wife and I really enjoy Thai and Indian food, and between the two, I really like the Thai food because I think it's got such a great balance and harmony between spicy and not spicy that we really
that's
enjoy.
great. Well, we'll let you have Turkish because there you are in Istanbul. So that's great. Now, we're going to hop to another country now. Where would you like to go? You can go anywhere.
Uh, I think my preference would be Spain. I have
Okay.
I've had a great deal of experience traveling in Spain, and I'm really fascinated with that country and its culture.
Okay. Well, we've got an apartment for you in Seville within the shadow of the Heralda in
Uh-huh.
Seville. The reason I know that area is my brother lived there for 10 years, so I
Uh,
right now you've arrived on Sport Day in Seville, and this is an opportunity for us to find out more about your sport preferences, because with breakdancing in the Olympics last year, there is no some sport is clearly performance art. So what sport would you like to watch for a couple of hours?
well, I guess if I was going with the culture of the country, I would definitely select football or soccer, whichever term you use for that, because as we know, soccer and football are so popular in Spain and all parts of Spain. But I come from Canada, so if I had a second selection, I might like to see if they had a player who were playing hockey. And see a
Yeah,
hockey game. I know that hockey is now like soccer and football many years ago, expanding to more and more parts of the world, and even places like Seville are starting to build arenas and train hockey players. So I might just see if there's an arena somewhere close and I could have a peek at a good hockey game with Spanish players.
you can.
Oh,
That's
good.
fantastic. You can. I've got the magic wand ready, you see. So
Oh,
now let's hop again. Where should we go after Spain?
Oh, after Spain, that's a very good question. I think I'd like to go to Indonesia.
Okay.
I haven't been to Indonesia, but I've studied a great deal with respect to Indonesian culture, so that would be a great privilege for me to go to Indonesia.
Okay. So we're in Jakarta now then.
Hmm.
Um, and there is a new digitally enhanced art gallery in Jakarta in which you can put on a pair of virtual reality headset and you
Hmm.
can step into the work of a famous artist. You can walk around it, you can see up and down and all around, and sometimes it's even animated. So if you could do that, um, the work of which famous artist would you want to step into?
I have a particular preference for Canadian artists, and particularly the well-known Group of Seven. They were a group of artists who felt that Canadians could not really become comfortable in their own country until they learned more about the development of the visual arts and outstanding Canadian artists. And they were very prominent in the country and focused most of their paintings on the natural beauty of Canada. And one of the best artists in that area, which would be my choice, would be Tom Thompson. Although he was not part of the Group of Seven, he came before it. He has produced many beautiful paintings of scenes from all parts of Canada, mostly in forests and mountain areas and up in the far north. So Tom Thompson, Tomson.
There he is.
There it is.
Yeah. So
There
yeah,
it
it's
is.
beautiful, isn't it?
Exquisite.
Yeah.
Rich with color and fall
Yeah.
scenes that Canada is famous for.
Look
It's
at that.
wonderful.
Love it. And I found the seven here. Look, this is where are we? This this looks like the group of seven.
Yes, that's the Group of Seven.
Yeah.
That's
Wonderful.
Oh,
So
it's
Tom
wonderful you
Thompson.
could put those up.
There
Appreciate
we
it
go.
so much.
Excellent. So I'm going to nip out and meet you for a week, and we're going to go out together for a week. But you have to hop to another location now. Where would you be going?
Probably Suzhou in China. Uh,
Okay.
Most famous, I guess, for its gardens. I'm fascinated by gardens and the connect, as you know, and the connection that exists between understanding the harmonious gardens and understanding harmonious cultures. And Suzhou, I think, would be, I haven't been there, but I would definitely want to go to that place.
Okay. That's that's on the list. Now we're going to, again, magic wand, um, and time machine, and what was the third one? Oh yes, the transporter. Um, we're going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're going to do a historic pop or rock concert. We're going to do a theatre play. We're going to do a Broadway or West End musical. We're going to do an opera, and we're going to the cinema. Okay, so this is quite fast paced. So if you could relive any concert performance that you've been to, which one would it be?
I think it would be a performance of Mahler and his Fourth Symphony. I really, really enjoy that work and have heard it live in performance with the Toronto Symphony.
Excellent. We'll with him conducting. We'll have that with him conducting.
Yes, it's even better.
Yeah. We played when I was in the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra with Simon Rattle. We played a lot of Mahler. We played Mahler 2 for the
Mhm.
opening of the Symphony Hall in Birmingham. And that was great. And Mahler 6 has a hammer blow in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I played the hammer. It was
Uh,
fantastic. What about a theatre play?
that would be more difficult, but I would select one that's Canadian. And it's come from away, and it's been very popular. It's popular on Broadway. It's popular here in Toronto, and it's a music theater opera type piece that's concerned about a plane that transported a number of people after a crash to a small town in Newfoundland and how Newfoundlanders rallied around helping these people. I think there were about 120 people involved. They gave them places to stay. They provided the clothing, they provided the food and everything else. And there was such a warm and rich relationship that developed between the people that were abandoned there and the home people that two very prominent Canadian, a composer and a lyricist, created Come From Away, which is about that experience, and it has a lot of beautiful music in it.
That's great. That's wonderful. And then briefly, because I know we're pressed for time, an opera.
Well, I guess it would be Puccini, La Boheme.
Yeah,
I
we
couldn't
can't
get
go.
away from that if I
Yeah,
had one choice. I'd want to watch that first.
and Tosca, perhaps.
Yes,
Um,
Oscar as well.
Now, and finally, I'm giving you a lunch, and you can invite any single person to come to the lunch. Nancy's there, okay?
Okay.
They can be a historical figure, famous or otherwise, living or not. Who would you like to have a 2 hour lunch with?
You. I take that very seriously, and it's an opportunity for me here to say how much I would like to sit down with you one afternoon and discuss our common interests in
Oh,
helping artists and arts organizations to do the things that they're so anxious to do. This is what drove my interest in creating a program in arts administration and cultural policy. And since I've come in touch with you and your work, I just want to congratulate you so much for what you are doing for the artistic and cultural community throughout the world.
well,
I
Paul,
think
that's
it's very remarkable, and I know it's deeply, deeply appreciated by all the arts and arts organizations that are associated with you and will be in the future.
oh, that's such a kind thing to say. It's a labor of love, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. So there we go, Paul. That is the end of your financial, well, it could be in your case, combination, your fantasy cultural year. I hope you've enjoyed your jaunt. You've done the TED Talk, you've got a book deal, you've got the TV show and the lecture tour. So that's all fine. And you've created a global league table for cultural, for how culture is accommodated within national economies. So that's it. And so I just want to say thank you very much for being one of our full members. And thank you also for being a good sport and doing this today. Wherever this appears, there'll be links to you, the books, and you on LinkedIn. But for the time being, Paul, thank you so much again. It's been an absolute delight.
Mark, thank you, and to all of the people that see this and are involved in the arts and cultural field. I know it's a difficult slug, and you have to work very hard to make your way in this particular area. But on the other hand, we have the great privilege, in my view, of working with the most wonderful people and materials in the world. I mean, you can't beat spending your time from early morning to late at night listening to beautiful music, seeing beautiful paintings, learning about the heritage of all countries in the world, probing more deeply into the arts and culture. I think we're blessed with where we are and where we're headed. So
That's a lovely way to finish, Paul. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
thank you.